Okay, so today's meeting, the main idea is to have a casual conversation regarding the EB-2 NIW and everything that time will allow us to do today. So one of the reasons why we decided to use Google Meet is that we want to be able to have more than normal 40 minutes that Google Meet will allow. But this is what we want to do today. We'll just go ahead and see how much we can achieve today. So first of all, we want to talk about, is it my right? Is it something that I'm entitled? So you just have to understand, like every visa, every visa that you apply with the US government, it's not your right. And with the EB-2 NIW, you're actually seeking something that has to do with the national interest, which means that you must satisfy the paragraph showing that you qualify as a member of a profession with an advanced degree or someone with an exceptional ability, we'll talk about later in this presentation. And you're also showing that your proposed endeavor merits the national interest waiver, which necessitates the USCIS to waive the job offer requirement. And let's move ahead and see that the EB-2 also based on the three-prong Danasa test, which I believe you might have heard about, which states that the foreign national's proposal has substantial merit and is of national importance, and that you are well positioned to advance your proposal. And this well positioned to advance your proposed endeavor part, it's what I'm going to be covering today in my proposed endeavor. And in case you are meeting me for the first time, my name is Chi Dozier. People call me Chi. I've had several names over the course of the years. Some people call me Chi, some people call me Dozier, some people call me Chi Dozier, which is the full name, which is fine as long as you pronounce the name and call me something meaningful. It makes sense. So coming back to the three-pronged Danasa test, you also have to show that on balance, it will be beneficial for the United States to waive the job offer and or labor certification requirement. And let's move further that when you're talking about the EB-2 NIW, it is focused on evidence that you're going to provide. And one main example that we're going to talk about, that in the initial requirement for the EB-2 NIW, they listed 6 requirements that they have, saying that you have to meet at least 3 out of the 6. But you would also come to understand that it is not about meeting these 3 out of the 6, because it is not about checking the box. It is about showing that you have achieved a level of success, or that you are well positioned to advance your proposed endeavor. And being well positioned to advance your proposed endeavor requires you to have certain documentation, and you have to present this documentation before USCIS. The first one we want to talk about, which is the bachelor's degree or the advanced degree. Now, keep in mind that when you look at the USCIS website, or let me put it this way, a lot of people come to the United States, they believe that if they get their advanced degree, which is the bachelor, which is the master's or MBA or PhD as it might be, it makes the petition more. I would say no, because a lot of people with a bachelor's degree have even gone ahead to apply and even gotten approval. And I've seen people that don't even have a bachelor's degree. They have what the US will call an associate degree, and they get approval, which means that what matters is that showing that you are positioned to advance your proposed endeavor, or that you are a foreign national with an exceptional ability. So we'll move further. The next one I want to talk about, which is evidence showing that you have at least 10 years of full-time experience in the occupation that you are in. Now, this is what I think happens when it comes to this particular evidence. You do not need to have 10 years of full-time experience. If you have it, that makes sense, that works. But if you have at least 5 years, it could also fit into these 3 primary evidentiary requirements. The next one we are looking at, we're talking about your license, your professional license. And this is what I say, that some occupation do not require you to have a license in the United States, but some do. But if you are an analyst, for example, there is no license that qualifies you to be a data analyst. What you have in place of a license is your certification. And in this particular requirement, all you need to show is that you have certifications that shows that you have something that it's particular to your profession. And the next one I want to talk about is that you have commanded a salary or remuneration for services that demonstrates exceptional ability. This is where I will tell you that not all salaries are equal, because if you are an engineer or a software engineer and you are being paid $50,000 a year, it doesn't demonstrate exceptional ability. You are just being paid. It doesn't do much. And I will say to you that you should be able to give USCIS a salary that shows that you are at the top of your field, if I may use that word, or you have achieved a level of success, or you have commanded a salary that is higher than your peers. Now, the next slide I'm talking about is that you're a member of professional organizations. And this is quite funny, in my opinion, because many professional organizations are those ones that require you to pay $50, $100 to become their member. And USCIS at some point do not, value those membership of professional organization, because they know that all it requires to be a member is by payment of fee. So this is what I think, and I think that you agree with me that everyone who goes through a master's degree program actually have to become a member of professional organization. So it does not carry much weight if you ask me, but it is something that is required you to show. The next one is that evidence that you've achieved of achievement and significant contributions, or industrial recognitions or achievement. And I would tell you that you could do that in several ways. It could be your publications that you publish in high impact journals, or it could be your number of citations. All these can be used to show that you have achieved a significant contributions to the industry or field, or to governmental entities or business organization. Now, you might want to ask, wait. I am not into publishing. I am a business or an entrepreneur. What do I have to show? Now, that is where I will tell you that you might give them comparable evidence. And in terms of comparable evidence, you could show that your business has achieved a certain level of profit in the United States, or you have been able to get something to show achievement or recognition within your field of your industry, right? And now I want us to go deeper to look at what is this NIW all about. And I have already mentioned that you could actually have a bachelor's degree, or you could actually have an advanced degree. And the NIW covers everybody in your field of endeavor, either in sciences, either in business, either in arts. And I will tell you that I've seen someone who is a photographer that have gone ahead to get an approval with the NIW. So it is not specific to any field. It is not targeted to, they are not targeting a particular field. They are actually saying, what do you have that you think that the United States meets? And if you have an advanced degree or a bachelor's degree or something below a bachelor's degree, it meets the exceptional ability. And if you have a master's degree, it meets the advanced degree criteria, right? So the next one we want to talk about, Now, I have mentioned at the beginning what the NIW is all about, and here is me going again to clarify it, that the USCIS is arguing that when you think about the NIW process, that you should be able to think and ask yourself, what is the prospective benefits of your proposed endeavor? So what are the things that the United States is going to gain from you in order for them to give you the green card? And this is what I want to talk about in my next slide. And what USCIS is requiring from you, that you need to come up with a proposed endeavor. And if I want to explain to you what a proposed endeavor means, I will just explain it in a layman terms for those who are doing research, that you have to submit your dissertation proposal or your master's thesis proposal. And in that proposal, if we have to exchange the word proposal, a dissertation proposal for a proposed endeavor, that they are saying that your proposed endeavor should have economic impact. It could also have societal or cultural enrichment, and it should be of national importance. The national importance is the main core, the main reason for the national interest waiver. And also they are arguing that your proposed endeavor should be able to articulate some kind of U.S. economy improvement, or it could be able to employ America in terms of wages and working conditions. It could also, if you are into something that has to do with medicine or scientific research, improve healthcare and advancement. And it should also be something that has a national or global implications. And the only way to explain that global implications, it's giving you an example of COVID, that if you are doing a scientific research help cure a COVID and keep COVID entirely, that is of global importance. And if you're doing something that is drug abuse related and drug trafficking, that is of national or global importance, right? And we'll talk about that in the there is the final merits determination that is quite silent, not as pronounced in the EB-1, which I think that if we have time, we're going to talk about it maybe next month in this webinar, that we are saying that the final merits that is often announced in the NIW is saying that meeting the minimum requirement does not in itself establish that the beneficiary meets the requirement for exceptional ability or the advanced degree classification, because the officer have to look the totality of the evidence you have and decide if you have achieved a level of success in your field, or if you have made significant contribution in your field, or if you are well positioned to advance your proposed endeavor. Now, the officer looks at this whole entire document that you provided by a preponderance of evidence, showing that, meaning that this evidence have to be readily available, before them, for them to decide to make their decision. And I will give you an example, that if you have a bachelor's degree, now you do not need a letter of recommendation to establish that you have a bachelor's degree. All you have to do is to submit the bachelor's degree certificate. You don't need anything to show that you have a bachelor's degree besides the certificate and the transcript. That is to say that by a preponderance of evidence, that is, the evidence before them shows that you're well positioned to advance your proposed endeavor, and that you have a degree of expertise that is significantly above that ordinarily encountered in sciences, arts, or business. Now I want to go further to talk about the advantages of the national interest waiver. And as we all know, that in the United States, that when you finish your advanced degree, you have to get an OPT, and OPT will help you get a work authorization to get a job in the United States. But you could bypass all those stuff if you apply for the national interest waiver, and which is the first step. You apply with the form I-140 petition, which is the petition for a foreign worker, and you that the benefit you present to the United States is enough for them to waive the labor certification requirement. And your proposed endeavor, if approved, will get you to the point of applying for the I-485, which is the green card. And many people prefer the EB-2 NIW because it's easier. You don't need an employer to sponsor you. You don't need any, you do not need to marry any of the beautiful girls in America to get your green card, or the beautiful guys, right? And you don't need the consent of your employer to do the NIW process, and you skip the labor certification process. And that is all I have. That is all I have for you today. I want to leave the floor for my colleague Danny to give his presentation, what he has for us. Then we'll move forward. We'll move ahead.
All right. Thank you very much, Dozie, for such a beautiful introduction of what the NIW is about. So you are all welcome. And Dozie and I have been doing this thing since past 2021, if I remember. And I remember we have also done a part of YouTube videos explaining a lot of the concepts on NIW. So most people, when they come to me for consultation, what I realize is that they don't have what actually, I'll say, the basic understanding of NIW. Let me put it that way, right? So what mostly I want to be doing most of the time is, why don't we try and let people understand the structure? Because if you are filing NIW, you want to know, where do I begin from? What is needed? I think Dozie has been able to give you the recap of what you need. You need an advanced degree, or you need to meet the exceptional ability. Okay. Now, if you look at this thing I've opened, I've put something here that I think, I don't know if it's kind of visible enough. This is an entire structure of NIW simplified. What do you need? Advanced degree plus meeting a 3-prong test. Now, these are snapshots I've taken from an RFE. Somebody will ask, what is an RFE? When you send an NIW petition to USCIS, they don't deny you outright. They give you a second chance to ameliorate certain weaknesses in your petition, right? And that is what we call request for evidence. So I'm a consultant and we get a lot of these things. So I decided to take a snapshot of the information officers want most of the time in your petition out of somebody's RFE without actually exposing their information. So if you look at what Dozie said, yes, first thing is that you need advanced degree. That is having master's degree or PhD degree, or you can say exceptional ability. And exceptional ability is what Dozie took you through. That means meeting 3 out of those criteria. People always confuse those exceptional ability things with the additional 3 prompts that will be required. So that's why I'm taking time to continue from where Dozie have gotten, so that you understand. If you have master's degree, okay, you don't kind of need to by all means satisfy those 3 out of 6. Now, that exceptional ability is for people who don't have master's degree. That means who don't have advanced degree or bachelor's plus 5 years experience. But let's say you went to trade school. Let's say you went to HND Polytechnic, right? And you have been you have mastered your craft. Then, of course, you can say, okay, I don't have advanced degree, but I can meet the fundamental requirements by showing exceptional ability. So the fundamental requirement the USCIS look at first is that this applicant, are you having advanced degree or are you having exceptional ability? We have not even come to the 3-prong test. This is the first layer they look at. And if you don't cross this layer, you are not going anywhere again. Now, does that mean everybody who has advanced degree should be approved, or who have exceptional ability should be approved? The answer is no. Now, that is a fundamental requirement. If not, everybody who finished master's should get an NIW approved, right? Or NIW green card upon graduation. But that is not the issue. The USCIS wants you to further meet a 3-prong test. So if you look at it, they say that an exemption of the job offer requirement will require that you have your endeavor is of national interest. That means the petitioner should propose an endeavor, and the endeavor should have merit and national importance. This is where a lot of people begin to shoot themselves in the foot. I always tell people, your proposed endeavor is the heart of your petition. It's the engine of the entire petition. If you get it wrong, actually the petition is going to suffer. All other parts are going to suffer. Now, how do you state a proposed endeavor? This is something which needs a kind of a skill and a skill set to be able to craft it, because you have to be very, very meticulous in stating your proposed endeavor. If you state it to benefit your employer, you are doomed. If you state it in such that it's too overly speculative, you are also doomed. Without wasting my time, let me switch briefly to an example. I wish there's an example, but probably I can show you. That's I don't know if I'm sharing that particular screen. Good. Somebody came for consultation yesterday, and I realized that the person is doing something related to health and safety. But while she's examining, it's mostly health and safety relating to mines. I'm using this as an example. Your proposed endeavor should be brief and on point, not about one page. If the officer is reading a whole page to find out your proposed endeavor, it's very much is going to be very problematic. So mostly this person is health and safety, but we said that she's developing something, a quarterly risk assessment policy framework that mining companies will follow to report safety of their mining sites as well as health conditions of their miners to OSHA and MSHA. MSHA is in charge of mining safety, more like OSHA, right? So a proposed endeavor is coming up with something distinct the person is trying to do. This is not speculative. The person is developing something distinct, a policy framework, more like a risk assessment framework that every mining company will follow. So this is a typical example of what we call what? A proposed endeavor. Now, the officer said that in the prong test 1, your endeavor should have merit and national importance. Now, merit is simply why your work is very important. When you are doing research, most of the time, the office you write problem statement. Why is this research important? What is happening in the field? See that as the merit. What is happening in the US that has made your work important, right? And once you discuss the merit, you then move on to talk about national importance. All these things in prong test 1. So in real life, it goes beyond having a master's degree. Now, with the national importance, officers are looking at the client or applicant should be able to describe their national importance covering these thematic areas. First of all, your work should have national or global implications. So the way you state your proposed endeavor will let the officer know that your work, it doesn't have national, nationwide application or even global application, or is it only tied to your employer? People mistakenly state proposed endeavors tied to their employers, and that is the beginning of the entire downfall, right? Please avoid that entirely. State a proposed endeavor which will benefit America on a larger geographic scale than just doing something for your employer. The national importance, the officers also look at how your work will bring what? Economic and job creation benefits to the United States. So you see, when I take people through consultation, when we finalize on the proposed endeavor, we walk through or brainstorm some economic benefits this work will bring, right? And that's how you can see I've brainstormed some of them with this client, how the work will create jobs, how it will bring economic benefits to America when she wants to develop this policy framework that mining companies will follow. Okay. Now, from there, what is it that the officers want? How your work will bring welfare or societal benefits to America. So when it comes to welfare aspect, we are now moving from economic money savings kind of thing and moving to the overall welfare, environmental quality, public health, life expectancy, rights, equity, environmental justice, right? So if you look at when we came to the welfare benefits, we listed also ensuring public health, life expectancy, safeguarding environmental quality, and all those things, right? Please, your national interest should be comprehensive enough. If you are not writing comprehensively, officers can accept one prong and deny another prong, and still you are not getting the approval, right? So take note of that. Then finally, officers want to see how your work is even benefiting or something that federal agencies are actively looking at to see that if it's important in America. You can just use your AI. When you land on your proposed endeavor, ask the AI, what are some programs that federal agencies are doing relating to this my proposed endeavor? And AI, you will be very much shocked of how the AI will pull various programs relating to your proposed endeavor. And that will end your prong test 1. Then the next one, you go on to this prong test 2. Mostly this will become your chapter 3 or so. That's how I structure my petition. Everybody have a way of structure of writing their petition. Now with the prong test 2, officer is now shifting attention from the proposed endeavor to you, the applicant yourself. You see, people mistakenly always describe their achievements in the prong test 1. And the officer will always tell you in RFE that prong test 1 is not an avenue to describe your achievements. that comes at the prong test too. So when you come to chapter 3, the heading mostly at chapter 3 is that I am well positioned to advance the endeavor. Sorry, forgive my. I'm well positioned to advance the endeavor. So how do you show you are well positioned? Here, the officer is looking at various achievements you have attained to show that you are well positioned. Now, I always tell my clients that you don't necessarily have to meet all this list. And because of time, you may not be able to go through all this list. But I always tell people, the more of this list you're able to satisfy, the better or stronger your profile. So it's not about having a master's degree. This is the real eligibility test for people. So people come like, oh, I'm qualified, I have masters, and even including even EB-1 people, until you take them through the EB-1, which I think next consultation or not next webinar, we can look at EB-1. And you realize that when you take them through the requirements, they realize that, oh, I have not gotten anywhere and actually I don't qualify. As a consultant, the best thing you can do for your client is to let them know their weaknesses. Do they qualify or not? This is not time for theatricals. This is not time for false hopes. But mostly, it's difficult telling people don't apply, you don't qualify based on this, because somebody may have a very weak proposed and well-positioned aspect, which is prong test 2, but he has very much detailed the national interest very well. Officers have various behaviors. Some officers base their numeric influence of adjudicating petitions on the prong test 1, maybe not paying that much attention to things you have achieved so much. Some officers also can decide to approve the prong test 1 and still question prong test 2 and deny you on that. So every officer, that's why they say they have a lot of discretion in this area. Now let's briefly go through this list. Degree, certificates, or licenses. Those you have already gone through this. I don't have to mention. You see that some of the exceptional ability things are still captured here. So some people say, oh, can I avoid the exceptional abilities? No, some of them mostly are still listed here. Degrees, certificates, and licenses are here, right? Does he have talked about that? I don't need to go through that. Now, patent or trademark. I can say that so far, only 1% of my clients have patent or trademark. If you don't have it, don't say you don't qualify. Skip and go to the next one. The next one to talk about is letters of recommendations. I tell people, yes, you need expert letters. Though not compulsory, but you need expert letters to be able to show that there are people you are well known in your circle and even out of your circle, right? Publish articles or media reports. Please, it's not compulsory that you should publish articles in journal. At times, you may be a corporate person, which you are leading corporate projects. That, in that sense, media reports where the company has published about the projects become more like equivalent to your own publication. But there are people also in corporate settings who also publish academic journals. Okay, so of course, that is what this part also means. Now, documentation showing strong citation. If you have journal and published articles, then of course you can have citations. But don't think that citations is the must. You see that it's only one of the bullet points listed, right? So there are various ways of going about it. Evidence that petitioner's work has influenced or failed. This is very generic statement USCIS has made there. How will you show that your work has influenced your field? Have you won any awards? Even your company, have you won any team awards, team recognitions? Have you presented at conferences? Are people actually even requesting your work on ResearchGate through emails and other things? This all shows some influence. So influence is not well defined, but if you ask yourself, have I influenced my field? Are news even publishing about you? Even news media all can show that you have gained influence in your field, right? Evidence demonstrating that petitioner has a leading critical role in an endeavor. So this is mostly where officers are now looking at your work experience at times, right? Are you occupying any leading role or critical role? If you're a manager, director, with supervisory responsibilities, of course you are a leader. If you are also in ordinary position, but you are fronting projects, you are all leading critical role. I always tell people that document your critical role by attaching company projects you are leading to the role, not just your routine roles on your CV. What specific projects have you led in this role to show that your role is critical, right? Which, of course, this can also be backed by a recommendation letter from your employer, further confirming that such projects occurred. Mostly, the difficult thing is getting company projects to show as evidence. Officer is not looking at, oh, bring company documents. No. But has the company published any news about this project? Have you been awarded around this project? Have you even been promoted because you obtained success in this project? These are things around it, or emails, all right? If you're a leader of a project, there are some company emails you'll be coordinating. All these emails will show that the officer that, yes, it's true that this project indeed occurred. Now, evidence that the petitioner has past inventions or innovations being used by others. So, of course, at times some work are transferring technology to other companies. Maybe you did a work which is benefiting other third-party companies. If you have it, that will be very great for your profile, right? Then when you come to this point, the officer said that the petitioner should show a model of plan for future activities. Here is where I tell people that by showing, or say they say one or more, mostly they say one or more of everything listed as subcategories. Right? That means they're not with everything, no, but at least one or more under every category. Now, model of future activities. Here's where it's a plan describing how you intend to continue your endeavor. Here, you can just write a statement which is purposeful, like a short, medium, and long-term goals, showing how you will drive the endeavor in the short term, maybe in the next 3 years, medium term, maybe the next 6 years plus, in the long term, maybe the next 10-year plus, right? Now, there are people who state proposed endeavor to look more like business, okay? If you are smart enough, you can take advantage of that and develop a business plan for it. Business plan shows the officer that, okay, these are the details of what you want to do and the economic benefit it will bring to America. So they say a business model or plan where appropriate is very much important. Now, correspondence from prospective employers or clients. I'm trying to rush through this so that we can give enough time for your questions. I know Dozy is on my tail. Yeah, correspondence from clients or prospective clients or employers. So a client asked me, how can I satisfy this, Daniel? And I said that, do you have a business register? I said, yes. Where? Back in Nigeria. Okay. Have you been giving or servicing clients with this your business? I said, yes. Okay. Can you show emails to show that, of course, some clients have been requesting your services during there? It's a very good example to show that employers or clients have been interested in your skills. If you don't have anything at all, then you ask yourself on Indeed, have employers been requesting your expertise by looking at your profile? In America, it's very common. Some employers will come into your Indeed profile. Hey, I saw your profile and we are having this project going, which would be a very good addition. Print all those things as evidence to show that people or employers are indeed of your skills and they have been clamoring for your skills, especially on Indeed, LinkedIn and other profiles, right? So that is one thing. Another thing is your emails you have received, even a proposal for businesses you have received, showing that you are actually leading this area. Now, documentation showing feasible plan for financial support. If you want to start an endeavor as a business, officer want to see that you have some initial injection capital to start. I always tell people, avoid a business which will require a brick and mortar office. Number one, it will fit your national interest proposed endeavor. How many offices can you cite in every state in the US to have a national impact? Ask yourself that question. So I tell people, start a business which is online somehow, consulting, right? As an online consulting company. You don't need a brick and mortar business. In that, those kind of companies, a $5,000 can start it. But when you say, I want to start office and employ people, oh my God, the officer is going to scrutinize you because how many offices can you build? How many Americans can you employ to make your work have that national impact? So be strategic on the type of business you are claiming your proposed endeavor and have appropriate financial support for that, okay? I tell people, even if you have not even started a business, it's very good in this current dispensation to register a business in your name. People think it's so scary to start a business as an F1 or on a visa. It's totally wrong. You can start a business even in student status. So far as you are not working for the business, if you don't have the right work authorization. One lady I was consulting, this person I showed the outline I was consulting. I told her, start a business. Okay, so you have an OPT. Okay, OPT card is, you have your OPT card. She said yes. I said, fine, then go ahead and start the consulting and even work for your company. Because even that will help you to live in the US for 1 year beyond the 90-day counting clock. People don't know this, that, oh, you have to get a job before you can be able to use the OPT. Apply it. If 90-day clock is coming and you don't have a job, start a company, work in your field for your company. As simple as that, right? And this company registration and even having a website for yourself tells the officer that you are serious to start something when they give you a stay in the United States and that your work is not speculative. So people are beginning to use this business. It doesn't cost a lot to register a business. In the US, it's about $200. Other states are more even cheaper. I don't know for Alabama, Dozy, but other states can be more cheaper, like $70, $80, or $130, right? So people think it's so difficult to start a business. No, go online. There are various websites, Taylor Brands and My LLC. They are automated. They will ask you a series of questions and create a business for you. Without you even filling anything, just pay them and they will do it for you because we know you are busy, right? Then let's go to the list, more part of the list. To show progress towards the endeavor, officer want to see evidence of grants you have received, listing the amount of grants as well as fees. Grants. Now, this is where even if your research is being funded by various national science foundation or institutions or NGOs, there's an opportunity to show that people have invested in your research, people have invested in your endeavor. So having university scholarships, university grants is very good for this particular point. Copies of contracts you have received or licenses resulting from the endeavor. If you are having a business operating as LLC under your name, do some pro bonos, have contracts with even companies in Nigeria, other part of the world. You can be pro bono, they don't need to pay you so that you can build your work with it. That, okay, I've led contracts in this endeavor by serving as consulting firm for this company in Nigeria or this companies here and there. Let them have a contract, have a letterhead for yourself, document everything under contract so that you can have to show that this shows that you are having evidence of contract, that you have led similar initiative for other companies, right? Evidence of achievement, which shows the petitioner is well positioned to advance the endeavor, which shows you can build upon the endeavor. So this is past projects you have done. I always tell people at times it's difficult to petition for NIW if you don't have any projects. That is the people, when people come to me and they don't have projects in their CV, that is the limiting point. I tell them, build some portfolio of projects. Because you see, all these things we discussed up here were around your projects, recommendation about your projects, news about your projects. So if you are not having it, it makes it very difficult and it puts you in a tight corner for an NIW. Now it says evidence showing that you have a leading critical role. I've already talked about leading critical role. I don't know why they repeat it here again. Interest from potential clients or customers. Now, letters from government entities showing interest in your endeavor. At times, it's very difficult to have a government entity saying, hey, Dozie, or hey, Jay, we have seen that you are doing, and we are very much interested. We want to support you. The moment you get such a letter, consider yourself that you have gotten an NIW approved in advance. It's very difficult to have such letters. But how will you show this? This also goes back to if it's not NSF funding your research, it's maybe the National Space, NASA giving their platform for you to test their research. I had one client who was working with NASA related work, and they were testing the application with a supervisor on a NASA site. That can be a typical example to show that the federal government is interested in your work, not necessarily writing a letter to you directly, right? So bear in mind of that. Now, evidence that the petitioner has received investment from US investors. Those who want to start a business and have a business going, if you have your work listed on a publicly traded fund company or angel investors showing interest, that's a good thing to show. If you don't have it, it's not compulsory. All right. Evidence showing that, sorry, I'm here. Evidence that your work has received awards, grants, or indication of relevant non-monetary support from federal, state, or local government entities. Like I said, federal agencies testing your work appearing in state news, or state government funding your work. All these aspects can be a typical example, right? Contracts with companies using your project or services. Like I said, if you have had past LLCs and you have contracted for companies, that's a very good addition. Or patents, or documents showing that your work is being used by other companies, relied by other companies. It's also the same thing, technology transfers, right? Patent or licenses, like I said, this is the same thing like the one up there. If you don't have patent or licenses, you don't have it, right? There's no point stressing about it. And the officer said that all other evidences that the petitioner is well positioned. So you remember that membership is not stated here. Even salary is not stated here, right? But at times when people have the salary from the exceptional ability Dozie was talking about, they can come and add all of them here in the prong to still make their case bigger and more enticing, right? So that is what this one is all about. But remember, don't say I have this when you have the proof to support it. Even if you don't have the tiniest proof of it, don't go for it, because no speculation without proof supporting it will be entertained by USCIS, as they have stated there. Okay. Now, finally, I'll be ending this shortly with a prong test 3. This is more like a concluding part of the entire petition. Okay. Here, the officers have seen your national interest, they have seen your advanced degree, they have seen that, okay, you are well positioned, but they want you to convince them more in our parts. And these are the various things they look out for. Whether in light of the nature of your qualifications, why is it so difficult to get a job to file green card for you? The first bullet point here under prong test 3, that's what it's asking. Why are employers not filing green card for you? Here is where you have to be smart. People have been using the excuse of, okay, there's labor backlog, shortage of labor certification, there's backlog and delay, therefore employers are not filing H-1B. These excuses are done with USCIS. They are tired of it. Okay, now let me give you some trace that we use. When you state an endeavor, like the one this lady stated, okay, I'm developing this so that I will pass this framework to OSHA or US Mine Safety and Health Administration to use as baseline standard development. She's developing something and will pass to a federal agency. Federal agencies have the habit of not filing green card. Okay, so here's where to tell the officer that, see, the work I'm doing is by consulting for federal agencies. Mostly federal agencies hire consultants, even those who are able to pass background checks, those who are able to pass straight secret clearance. Therefore, this puts me at a disadvantage. There's one excuse you can give, right? Give an excuse you don't have any control over. Okay, something like this begin to also move the officers a lot. At times, you can even show a typical example from their website saying, "Oh, we only hire contractors who are able to pass top secret clearance," which of course we know that F1 and OPT and all those kind of people, master students, as we are here, we can't qualify for clearance. So this is a very good laudable idea to give, right? So you can talk about that. Now, whether even assuming there are other qualified US workers available, the US will still benefit from your contribution. Here's where the officer wants you to convince him on executive orders, on various national benefit scale. So the national importance, you can summarize some of the points even the national importance, like reminding the officer that, hey, my work will ensure environmental quality. Hey, my work will ensure that US mines remain environmentally safe for workers to work in. My work will ensure that even US gold exports meet ISO standards, bringing in foreign revenue to the United States. So your ability to mention or kind of summarize some of these basic or high national benefits like this will also satisfy this. Then the next one says, whether the national interest in the petitioner's contribution is very urgent to warrant foregoing labor certification. Honestly, I tell people some works are important, but not every work is urgent. When you are stating an endeavor, ask yourself question, in this current dispensation, is my work very urgent? See, that is why education and teaching people are finding it difficult to get an NIW approved. We all know that teaching is a very good job. It's important work. Is it very urgent for the US now? If you remember that the president is trying to scrap the Department of Education, right? So things like this, you should let you question the endeavor you are selecting. So before you state your endeavor, look at this thing. How urgent is your endeavor? There was one client who was in cybersecurity. We wrote a petition, and the officer was like, no, it's still so broad to say you want to use cybersecurity skills to help the aviation sector in the US. So the clients came back. We met again. We're like, okay, let's re-strategize. Let's still stay in the cybersecurity field, but let's say that you want to use your expertise to do or to develop a plan, departure, arrival, inspection checkpoints for US aviation or planes. So before they depart, these checkpoints should be followed. Before they arrive, this checkpoint should be followed to ensure safety of travelers on US. This were the time that there were a lot of aircraft crashing in the US last year, right? And it got approved. So you see that at times the agency selecting an endeavor which have an agent, current public news around it as a problem will help your endeavor a lot. Then whether the endeavor may lead to potential creation of jobs. We talk about jobs in the prong test one. At times you can just re-summarize them. At times here's an opportunity to crunch the numbers and tell the officers these are the potential job projections that my work will create, and then you should be fine with that, right? And whether your proposed endeavor is you are self-employed in a manner that will not affect US workers. If you are developing an endeavor relating to creating a business, this will become your bread and butter, because you can say that my work will rather create jobs instead of taking jobs from Americans, right? So these are where you can really convince the officer. And as you can see, if you are done, you mostly place this RFE on top of your response and send to the officers. This is how the officers want you to really, really show your achievements, which I've taken time to walk you through. What I've done here is the same thing I'll do with a lot of people during consultation, but it's very much personalized because I look at their CV and we look at it as we are going through each of these. So I think I will end it here and we can be able to open the floor for questions. Hopefully I've answered most of your questions as a structure of an NIW, but if you still have questions, of course, bring it forth and we can be able to do justice to it. All right.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. So we want to open the floor for questions, and I see that we have people raising their hands. On the first we have here is Abdullahi Muhammad. You want to go on, ask your questions? I think we have time.
All right. So thank you so much, and thank you so much to the presenter. It was a very fantastic presentation. Thank you so much. But my major question is still two things. The first one was, I don't know, I think I brought it up some time ago when I asked if having a degree is an absolute necessity for the EB-1A petitioning. And also for those of us who are outside of Nigeria, how does the Trump proclamation? Because I was hoping that by January 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, there will be a bit more clarity and people would have understanding of what it is exactly that is going to happen. Does the national interest mean that people who are doing the EB-1A and NIW are able to still go ahead with their immigrant visa, because you need to do the immigrant visa even if your I-140 gets approved? Yeah, so I want to know if there's been any kind of clarity on that front. Those are two questions I really would love to get answers for, please. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Does it you want to go first?
Yeah, let me start with the degree. So if you look at we are not talking about EB-1 today, but when it comes to the EB-2 NIW, you need a kind of degree. And if you have I've seen people with associate degree getting approvals. An associate degree could be equivalent of an OND in Nigeria. And I have not seen anyone applying without any kind of degree, but the requirement says you need at least 3 out of the 6. So it means that even if you don't have a degree, you have some like a certification, or you meet 3 out of the 6 stuff for eligibility, especially for exceptional ability, you could apply. And I think the same thing applies for EB-1, although we are not talking about EB-1 today. And when we talk about the recent partial ban for Nigeria and some other countries, there is not much verification except for the hold that we have seen already. But when you look at the policy that was brought out, is the pause means that petitions will still be adjudicated and it's still going to move. I'll tell you that I've seen people petition even January, even 2nd of January, they have submitted petitions and they have also received notice. They did it online. So there's one thing I will tell you, that it happens. People have been submitting petition. I would say if you're in Nigeria, submit your petition and forget about it. If it gets approved or adjudicated, fine. If it doesn't, the president has 3 more years to go. That is the only thing I can tell you.
All right. Yeah. So I want to add a little bit more to that. I had a client which I applied for when, like 2022. This client was in UK, and he got approved. And I was thinking he will go through the consular process even from UK. So just last month, he reached out to me that, hey, Danny, it has reached my turn to go for consular process, and I'm attending my interview from Nigeria. So I wish him good luck. And later he came back telling me that the consular is asking a whole lot of things, that they say they can't even identify his file, and they can see that in the past he applied for a US visa showing that he's married, and this time around in his consular application he's saying that he's not married. You see, they are trying to use a kind of innovative of communist status to remove people, right? And I asked, did you apply a visa initially? He said, oh, an agent filed for a US visa for me, not knowing he mistakenly. I said, dude, you are going to kind of give these people the chance to just, that's some of the things they are using. Not that they are going to go, they say partial. Nigeria is like partial ban, right? They are going to scrutinize you. So anything you have done in the past, any DS-160 you have failed in the past, try and make sure that if you are gotten approved, try and stick to what you say you have. Don't say you were married in the past and now you have never married before. It contradicts. They're going to kick you out. Right now, they are more going to use more like iron hands to be kind of adjudicating stuff nowadays. So don't be scared. If you don't have any kind of skeletons in your cupboard or anything to hide, there's no need to be scared. Okay. Now with your degree, I think, like I said, Dozie have answered it. If you don't have a degree, go through exceptional ability. That's why we say that either advanced degree, master's, PhD, or bachelor's plus 5 years experience, or exceptional. Exceptional can be that you can even be a welder or trade skills person, but you have really accumulated or achieved a lot. 10 years in your profession. You are maybe in a professional membership in like a vice president in your association. Use that to attain, that is an equivalent to a degree before we come to the 3-prong test, right? Use that to build your defenses as equivalent to a degree, then the officer will consider that. So not having a degree doesn't bar you, but the requirement becomes higher if you don't have a degree. Okay.
So let's go to Henry next. Let's go to Henry. Then we'll take one online question.
Okay, good day, everyone. Thank you to the organizers. My question is on the proposed endeavor. So currently I'm in like 2 fields. My proposed endeavor is like centered on 2 fields. So basically I have a background in education, and currently I'm in a master's program for retail innovation, which is like a business program. So I'm trying to merge the education aspects with the business. So I don't know if it's something that is viable, because I have like a solid background in education with my achievements there. And I also am trying to build up my profile for the business. So I don't know if I could combine it. Also, you mentioned that teachers are facing difficulty with securing the EB-2 approval. So I'm actually looking at retention, like to strengthen US educator workforce retention for teachers. So I don't know if that is a viable option too, because of what you mentioned. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So education, teachers, education plus business. One thing you should know is that it will be difficult for any of the consultants here to say that go with this specific proposed endeavor until we have seen your CV, we have seen past projects you have done in both education and business. For right now, I'm kind of discouraging people from just selecting proposed endeavor anyhow. Select an endeavor you have done something similar in the past as a project relating to it. Okay, you can be able to have a bridge between business and education. For instance, we have had people who have gone through developing fintech technologies that will simulate laboratory settings for case to practice at home, right? I've had a client like that. So you see that's in education, more like fintech. Sorry, that's a fintech. I'm talking about edutech. Sorry, edutech. So the person is developing edutech technology that will simulate real lab experience, so that case can practice on their iPad like they are in the lab and doing practicals, right? So that's the person's proposed endeavor. It combines education like IT development, product development, plus the education like teaching case. So these are things people in education really can go. Now, talking about in education field, whether you want to really apply as an educator, like I said, the only thing mostly that affects people is that, okay, the person say, I'm teaching STEM in this classroom, I'm teaching STEM in somewhere in Alabama or somewhere in North Carolina. And the officer was like, how is your teaching in one school rise to the level of national importance? That's the problem that mostly people in the education field experience. So if you can do something like mostly teacher retention, that kind of thing you are talking about, that is also good, because the teaching force, of course, is something which will create jobs for Americans, but you have to be very specific. Don't be speculative. What program will you particularly do? What will you design to ensure this teacher retention is attained? That is what really constitutes the proposed endeavor. So yeah, you can really maybe later have a private session with Dozie or myself or any of the consultants in the group, and we can be able to carve out a very nice proposed endeavor which is very specific to that, right?
Yeah, so before I take the next question that is online, I want to say first that I have written, I believe he has also written petition for people who have 2 different backgrounds. I would give you an example. I've written for someone who has a bachelor's in dentistry and is doing a master's in public health. So I try to marry both dentistry and public health. I've also written with a bachelor's in pharmacy and a master's in business, MBA. I try to marry that, but I think your situation, it's kind of peculiar. I need some kind of in-depth conversation. You tell us more details and go into more details, but we have a lot of people raising their hands now, but want to move on. So let me take an online question before we follow to Nana, because someone is asking here that if you have a pending asylum and you're currently in the US, can you adjust your status with an approved NIW? Now, I would tell you from what I have read, because I've had similar I have someone who I wrote for, a person is on asylum and it's a similar situation. And I would say from what I have read online, I would say no, because an asylum is not a legal residence in the United States. So what the recommendation from everything I've read is that the person have to go outside the country to a place like Canada or a third country, like they call it, and apply for the consular processing there. But I heard that you could hire a lawyer who could file many motions of whatever they have, and if it's successful, congratulations. So we'll go to the next question. We don't want to keep you here for long. We'll go to the next one. Nana, please go ahead.
Hi, Chi. Thanks for your time. Quick one. I think you did mention that the NIW can be filed online. You said somebody did it. You got a receipt ticket. I just wanted to confirm.
Yes. People file NIW online, and it's public. It's a public information. You could arrange upload it online in the USCIS portal. They receive it, and in some days later, they send you a receipt notice.
Okay. Because the reason I'm saying is that I actually saw this earlier. I kind of sent a chat to them, but the person who responded was encouraging me to do the paper filing, and I kind of think that the online should be faster, But thanks for the clarifications. I wanted to hear that somebody has done it. They've got a receipt notice, and then it's kind of, even though there's no official announcement on it, but it can be done.
It's USCIS website. I have done it for someone, right? And I know someone's a client I work for who recently did it a few days ago and is here to receive receipt notice. I know someone in our WhatsApp group too that have done it and received receipt notice that I can confirm to you. And I will tell you, it's much better and easier than printing and arranging it. It takes me and my wife 3 hours just to arrange the petition, at least 3 hours, 2 persons. Imagine doing that as one person.
Thank you, Jay. I appreciate it.
Okay, let's go to Abigail Mensah, please. Abigail.
Yeah, sorry, I was muted. I just want to know you guys' your contact so that we can contact you because I want to share my CV with any of you.
Okay.
Both of you, if possible.
I don't know, for some reason it wouldn't ask me. Are you hearing me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, for some reason it wouldn't allow me to type anymore. I'm beginning to type. Let me type my website in here in case you want to go make an appointment. And if you're just joining us now, you could join our WhatsApp group. It's a community where we post all kinds of stuff in there. Danny will post his website there so that everyone could see it. I think that answers your question.
Yeah.
I have my email there. I think the website, you can have it.
Okay.
Please, whose email is that?
Okay. Charisma World is for Danny. That's for me. Our website is also Charisma Immigration Services, LLC.
Yeah, that is. So let me take the next question that I have here online. I said I have a number of questions. How can we get in touch with you? We have already clarified that. You mentioned about certain companies to solidify your profile. Are you expected to strictly set up companies along the line of field of and interest and equivalent? I'll leave that to my brother here to answer the question.
All right. So if you are setting your company, I will make sure that your company's operation is somehow aligned to your proposed endeavor, right? So remember that your proposed endeavor, you are using this to further enforce or kind of reinforce what you are proposing to do. It may not be directly the name as it is, but you can give it a very fancy name, but part of your operation should be something which enforces the endeavor. For instance, let's say you are proposing an endeavor as EB-2 to develop educational technology for kids to be learning at home. You can't be forming a company which will be looking at construction industry. It doesn't have any relation to that, right? So your company that you should do should be something which mostly like provide online courses or provide online course, maybe educational course for workers or whatever it is, that will be very fine to do. So, or any company that provides online education platform for maybe workers to learn technology or whatever it is, can be a typical equivalent of that. So you can come out because you know what you are proposing. So come up with a company which have services mostly some maybe in line with that endeavor you are proposing. Right.
If I want to add something, I've opened 2 companies in total, and I've 3 in total. I've closed 2. My third company is in Alabama, which I'm using for my technical writing services. And I'll tell you, when I first started, I wrote my first business plan for my NIW, which was supposed to start a summer school. I never started the summer school, but I registered a company, $300 in the state of Tennessee, and was filing annual taxes, $0, right? You file taxes because you have to be in compliance. So I believe in all states, you could register your company line, $300, Secretary of State's website, register your company and ensure you pay taxes. And you could build your website too for your business. And he mentioned building the website to show that you are serious. And if you're looking for, and I write business plan, but I think that most cannot pay me the kind of money I'm calling for business plan, $1,500. But if you go to Fiverr, you could get it for $200. You don't have to come to me. Go to Fiverr. They do some kind of good job, but not that good, because Fiverr has a lot of stuff. Fiverr can get you $200 business plan. Believe me, I'm not joking.
All right. Raquel says, how long does the entire EB-2 process take from filing to receiving it? Okay, so mostly EB-2 have 2 stages. First of all, you file a petition that we talked about with your I-140 and get approval before you go to the adjustment of status stage. Now, the first phase, filing and getting approval, can take anywhere from 2 months to 6 or 1.5 years, depending on whether you did premium or not. People pay extra fee of $2,800 to get a decision in less than 60 days, and that is what we call the premium. When you get the decision, it's not a green card in itself. Decision can be maybe approval or RFE. Okay, if it's a straight approval, they only bring you certificate of approval. That is not a green card itself. You have to be able to now join the queue for priority date. So obviously, you become part of the queue depending on when you filed your petition. So when your priority date becomes current, that's where you can put in your adjustment of status application. And that one takes mostly roughly 7 months. I've seen clients, someone's ongoing 8 months or 1 year. But the good thing is that with adjustment of status, you are getting your work authorization to work. So you don't necessarily need that card of a green card. I always tell people that when you are going to adjustment of status, consider yourself a permanent resident until you have committed some heinous crime. Mostly you're going to get approved, right? So me, after approval with green card, I don't travel with my green card, even though recently or whatever it is. Your green card will always be on your wardrobe or somewhere secure. You don't even need it to go and show to employer. Mostly employer want to see that, okay, you have your social security plus any kind of work authorization. That is all that you are good. Somebody have been having adjustment of status pending for over 2 years. It's still in the US doing good, right? So don't worry too much about getting the physical card. All you need is that I-140 approval. That will give you more like a step towards becoming a permanent resident. Okay. For EB-1 is different. EB-1 is like visas are available. So once you get approved, you are going straight to adjusting status, and it doesn't take that long time. But EB-1, even with that, of course, you are going to still face some kind of scrutiny and background checks before you go through that, right? EB-1, you don't even need to get approval. You can file concurrently. Let's say you are filing EB-1 and you can file adjustment of status together with it and still be in the US and be fine, right? That's what people who come in short visas try to use to continue to stay in the US while they are waiting their decision, right? But EB-2, because of retrogression, is going to take a bit of time before it gets to your end to get a green card.
So let's go to the next question, Francis Boadu.
Okay, thank you very much, and I'm grateful for the information. I have this question. I am a physically challenged graduate, a master's graduate, right, where I have engaged in thesis related to disability challenges in United States, specifically in university campuses, right? And I also have a background in education, that is teaching, right? And currently I am working in a state agency that is child support division, right? And so I just want to know, is it mandatory for me to combine these three categories of areas that I have, or to go behind my positionality, right, as disabled, and then having contributed, to that? So that's just one.
Yeah. Once again, until we see the entirety of your CV, you see, when I'm kind of developing proposed endeavor with clients during consultation, the first thing I request for is their CV before the meeting starts, so that I can scan, look at where they have gotten much achievements, right? If you're having two different fields and one of your achievements are mostly biased towards a particular area, then you want to state your endeavor in that particular area, right? With that being said, okay, disability challenges in US campuses, good. It helps in diversity, equity, and inclusion, the DA, but the administration right now with DEI kind of things. But still, of course, we have environmental people getting approved, even though Trump is pulling out from Paris Agreement here and there, right? So don't let the political atmosphere still scare you too much. Just find something very convincing around disability people in the university campus. I don't know the particular thing you want to do around this area, but I'm thinking that it will be very interesting and will border more on welfare benefits a lot for national importance. Somehow a bit of economic importance also anyway, but until we see your totality of your achievements on your CV, it will be very difficult to say go particularly with this area or combine the two. Who knows, maybe the other field may have some kind of a remote connection or relation to it. In that case, you can really bridge the two and make a good case for yourself, right?
Yeah, but I want to add that I would not go with your positionality. Your positionality has nothing to do with national interest. It has nothing to do with where position to advance a proposed endeavor, or that positionality is good, but I would not go with that. If you are, Serena, please.
Yes, thank you very much for the webinar. Just a quick follow-up on the duration of the process. For like, I learned that there was a backlog with the EB-2. Do you happen to know like what year they're at now, like in terms of approvals and whatnot?
Okay, so for that, let me take you through a little bit of so this is the simplest way of finding which date actually is your own time to adjust status. US Visa Bulletin, go to Department of State website. Let's see if okay, January 2026. So this is the this is where mostly always they release Visa Bulletin every month to show who can really adjust status. This for family based, skip this calendar. This family, skip this calendar. We are talking about employment based. Are we using date for filing or final action?
It's doing final action date, I think so.
Good. Every month the USCIS will tell you which of the two calendars. We have final action dates, then we have date for filing. Every month USCIS will tell you which of the calendar they are going with. So this month we are going with this one. Second preference means EB-2. Now for all other parts of the world, including Nigeria, Ghana, or most African countries, we are falling under this area, right? So April 2024, 1st April 2024. What this means is that, let's say you sent your petition on let's say March 15th, 2024. Okay, the day you sent your petition, not the day you got approved. When you send a petition, that's why you get a receipt notice. The receipt notice will tell you the date USCIS received your petition. That date is what we call priority date. So those who sent their petition to USCIS, maybe any date, I don't know whether to say later or earlier, but any date before the April 2024 1st can really adjust status. Even if they have not gotten decision on their case, they can still adjust status. Let's say somebody submitted March 20th, 2024. The person can really adjust status, right? That is what this whole date means. So that means if you are submitting petition January here, you have to be waiting until this calendar moves every month. At times, some months is stagnant. That's the most irritating thing about this calendar. But it has some kind of movement at least every month so that we can be able to wait to your turn and get adjustment of status done. Now, one thing is that when you get approved for EB-2, it's not compulsory that you should still be in the US and wait. You can even go to Nigeria and take a rest and wait for your time and come through consular processing, right? You can, because this EB-2, people file from outside the US. You don't necessarily have to be in the US to get it. That is one good thing with this thing. If you have, I always tell people, if you have gotten approved for EB-2 and you don't want to soil your profile, don't become undocumented. Because the moment you become undocumented, this approval is off your table. So try and protect it. Even if you have to go back home and wait for your turn, go back. Because this calendar you are seeing here, 1 year ago, people didn't think it will come to 2024. Because it was somewhere around 2022, 2023. Or when would this calendar move? One time it came and it has jumped about 6 months ahead, right?
Yeah.
It's always a good time to have a petition in there. I will advise people, have a petition in there. And you're going to be fine, okay?
I don't know. We don't see any hands raised. Any other question before we call it a day?
Yeah, you can also put your questions on the comments if you don't really want to talk on the system.
Oh, Lauren, why don't you please go ahead? You are the only person raising your hands up.
I got to say, well done. How you doing?
Good.
My Ghanaian brother, you're doing well. I think you guys have been able to convince me because I literally had to bring one of my friends in Nigeria. She's a software developer, and I think she has had like 6-7 years work of experience, and she's always building a lot of stuff. So I was kind of telling her that, come and join this meeting and just come and listen. She said, oh, I have only ND. That's equivalent to associate degree, by the way. Yes. But I'm certainly confident that she meets all the criteria because she kind of work with she does freelance work, and I don't know how that would be of interest to come in for her to be able to get her along, because I told her she can only do EB1 because I mean she doesn't have a higher degree, so EB2 might be a little bit skeptic. So, and she's very technical in the field. So I don't know what advice you would want to have for her, because I'm certainly sure she's here. And in my own case, you know, I got RFE and they kind of cited that there's inconsistency in my work, my work history, like because I lived in Germany at the point in time. So when I was in Germany, I declared that I was working at a company, which of course I only went there to do research, by the way. So they kind of faulted it and said I should falsely explain that. I'm not even sure maybe they accepted any of my prompts, because the guy or the lady was on my neck everywhere, almost 18 pages of RFE. It's long. I don't even know where to start or where to, but I'm very sure maybe I could get a way out of it. So the most important thing is this discrepancy, which I think I can have a little bit of storyline to tell, if that would give me some sympathy. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, so regarding your friend, I wouldn't know if your friend fits in for EB1 or EB2. The only way to know, I think that my brother Danny does free evaluation here. He could tell you, he could send him your email, your CV, we evaluate it for free. I do free evaluation too. And I will tell you, I tell people that I will tell you what happened yesterday. There's a guy who's contacted me, just from Instagram. He contacted me and sent me the RFE for EB1. I said to him, hey, do you want me to tell you how it is or just speak plenty grammar? He said, bros, give it to me how it is. I told him, who advised you to apply for EB1? Your stuff does not even meet EB1 at all. And even if I write this RFE, I'm not sure of getting approval. It's the 50-50 is lower 50s. That's what I said to him. Right? And I'm being frank with you. These are the kind of things I tell people. Right? And I don't want people to just feel, oh, I have the 3 things, but see, you have to go for evaluation. I do it free. He does it free. I think so. The only thing, if you want one, if you say one-on-one, you have to pay money to do that one-on-one. Like this thing we are doing here is one-on-one consultation free. So, but if you're applying for anyone, please keep your story straight. don't manufacture document, even if you want to have evidence for it, and make sure it doesn't, you know, if you say you are married today, make sure that you said you are married when you apply for visa, because they might look up document and say you lied to us. It happens, and this is not Trump done. It has been happening since Biden. It has been happening since Obama. They always want you to be truthful, so that because the form you're signing, you have to be truthful. Please, let's be truthful.
All right. You see, one thing I'll add to yours is that of late, USCIS, they are not playing. When people come for consultation, they try to, oh, Danny, this one, let's try and build profiles. Like, gentlemen, you don't know what the air that is blowing around USCIS right now. Let me give you one instance. One client didn't build a profile. She's been doing fantastic work. But the officer is saying that her work history is not adding up. The officer went to pull her H-1B that her company has filed for her back in 2 years ago, pulled DS-160 that she failed to even enter the US, and trying to make a case that this your DS-60 says this, H-1B is saying this, now you are saying this, your work history is not adding up. Rather, they are combining a lot of databases about you. So tomorrow you said you were just a program manager in this company. The next moment before you were entering, you said you were an intern. There's kind of conflicting information on there, and to give you the officer the opportunity to scrutinize you more and kind of ditch your petition. So right now, I tell people, yeah, try to do with what you have. Trying to build profile. Right now, they are doing they are using a lot of technology to screen people. And even not only people in the US, of course, if you're even outside the US, that is even getting worse because, of course, you know the declaration they are doing. They are saying they are really going to scrutinize. So it's not as if you just submit anything to them and they accept it. They really, really want to punch holes into what you are claiming you have and show that you really have it. And consistency is one thing, please. Many people apply different things and enter various information. They pull it. Right now, when people say they are doing both EB1 and EB2, I even get scared for them. Because it will be very much common that they can pull EB1 and EB2 and compare the two petitions you have filed and tell you that, though we have not made decision on your EB1, but your EB1 is saying this and your EB2 is saying this. But at first, it wasn't a problem, right? At first, I know that a lot of things has changed right now. So right now, try and maintain consistency whenever you are filing for EB2 or building on your EB2 to file EB1, so that you don't kind of misrepresent yourself and cause problem, right?
So let's take the next question, King Bot. Please go ahead.
Okay, I know somebody asked question relating to asylum.
I think we've answered that.
Oh, okay. Rukayat. Okay, asylum. Okay, currently in the US and adjust my status.
I think you want to go ahead before us. So let's please, Cairo.
Yeah, thank you. This is my first time on the page, and I'm quite new to the process. So sorry if I ask questions that has been answered already. I have a master's and from Ghana and a bachelor's in social work. I'm not reading a PhD. I've been here for the past 4 months. I have a couple of publications, a few in peer-reviewed journals. Whilst here over the past 4 months, I've also been leading a student organization. I've applied to do voluntary works as well, which is currently ongoing. My confusion, however, is I don't know whether I am qualified for EB1 or EB2. Honestly, I don't understand what they stand for and what to go for. So I am like a real beginner, and I want to know where I stand and how to proceed. Thank you.
All right. So Kairos. So when people come to me for consultation, their mind is that, oh, I want to go for EB1 because that's the most current and that will give me green card faster. We all wish that everybody would have gotten EB1. But the truth of the matter is that when you don't qualify, we can't sugarcoat it for you. Because when the person can, mostly it's very stressful trying to take the person through EB1, then later come through the consultation for EB2. But I'm beginning to do that because it let the person understand and make a quick decision that, okay, look at what Danny have said about EB1, I don't qualify. Then you can really know where to position yourself now. That's why mostly nowadays I do a quick walk through EB1, and when we see that there are no options to explore, we then come and build the defenses around EB2. probably that is what we can do upon seeing all the things you have. Yes, you say you have publications. I don't know whether you have citations yet. And even if you have citations, how are your citations ranking against others? And that is only one of the or two of those things you need. You also need additional things to make at least 3 criteria. When I'm doing EB1 for people, I tell people avoid 3 criteria exactly. Try and do 4 because you don't want to be on the borderline too much. So what you want to ask yourself is that we may have maybe a different webinar sometime and walk through the EB1. I've done that for some church groups and the rest. Maybe once a while, Dozy may have time and we can put EB1 webinar also. And you realize that EB1 is no joke. Unless I see the person's Google profile and I'm seeing some good citations there, then I know that we can add a bit of media, publicity, news media, and a salary or whatever it is. Mostly the default is look at EB2 first, then look at EB1 later if you qualify. That is what the advice I can give you.
So let's go. We have one online questions. We have 2, but let's take the ones. They say, what are the options for medical doctors? And medical doctors, there are several options. You could do the NIW. There is also specific ones for medical doctors, NIW for physician. And for that one, you have to get some documentations, and I think that one of them, you have to get a letter from the Department of State saying that your specialty is of national interest. It's needed, and you also agree to work in an underserved community. That is a whole lot. You could check it online, or you could just reach out to any of us who could tell you what we think. But there are options for medical doctors. Either you go for NIW for physicians, which is, I think, if you have the documentation, it's easier for you. Or you go for normal NIW, or you do EB1, which we are going to discuss at a later day. But there's a question here: how does these dates, it's talking about visa bulletin, affect those who have applied from outside the United States? I mean, the date on the visa bulletin, is it the same date for all? Radani?
Yeah, the date applies to. There's no date for people who are outside and those who are inside. If you are inside and you are an Indian, and you are outside and you are an Indian, that kind of date applies to all of you. It's based on your country of birth, where you were born. It doesn't matter whether you are in the US or you are out of the US. So that is, I think I've answered your question for that.
So let's go. Let's take King now. King is ready. I think that is the last question we might take.
Yeah. Thank you guys for the wonderful job you guys are doing. So regarding the EB-2 NIW, in my case, I mean, I have filed for a patent, but this patent hasn't been approved yet. So I don't know if you're writing the petition. Can you talk about it? Of you kind of being filed for a patent, but it's not been approved yet.
Unapproved patent. It's dicey. You can tell the officer that you are in the progress of, okay? So something you are progressively achieving, which you have not finished achieving, you can still make a case for that to show that you are positioning yourself. But you see, officers assign weight evidences, right? Something you already have will carry more weight than something you are trying to get. So if you can show proof of patent application, show all the whether even it has been accepted in initial stage and undergoing review, officer may, it's as to your case. It can't harm your case in any way, right? So add it, but it will be very ideal if you have that patent through before putting up your petition. That would be the great and ideal situation I will really kind of recommend.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know, like I'm trying to understand the person's question, like missing priority date. Like it got to your turn and you didn't adjust status. Is that what?
Or you did not apply? We don't know. So this asked question, I think we have actually answered the question.
Okay, she says yes. Okay. So if you miss your priority date, you can never miss it. If it has passed your priority, you can apply for the green card or adjustment status anytime.
Anytime.
Okay. Maybe it got to your turn and you were busy, you are not interested in applying now. Still, the approval is there. The good thing, the approval certificate you have. Later, if you still make up your mind that you want to apply, you still apply once you are within it. One thing you should know is that the priority date can also retrogress very, very deep. For instance, Indians right now is taking about 12 years to meet a priority date. So if an Indian apply for EB-2, he's going to wait for at least 12 years. Right now, it was around 2012, the last time I checked. So if you sit down and wait and the priority date retrogress and goes back beyond the time that you were qualified, you have lost it. Okay. So even as much as you are not ready and you don't really need the adjustment of status or the green card right now, I think it's very still good that you file adjustment of status or don't wait too much until you miss the whole thing. Immigration is changing. The next moment, you will not be surprised. You wake up and they will say that no, permanent ban on all immigration, whether you are from white country, black country, brown country. So do things once you have the leverage until you later you lose everything, and that wouldn't be a wise decision, right? Okay.
So let's, I don't know we've answered the question about if you're outside the United States and visa bulletin. I think we have we?
Yeah, I think we have, yeah, we have actually done the visa bulletin thing.
And Serena is asking for the cost of the entire processing, filing through adjustment of status. So Serena, here is what we'll tell you. So if you're doing the NIW, right? The $715 for the I-140 for $800 for asylum fee, which makes it together $1,015. Now, if you fail, you cannot wait for them forever to adjudicate your case, and you have enough money, you feeling you have enough money, you should pay $2,805 for premium processing, and you get an answer in 45 business days. Now, if you don't have that money, it could take up to 2 years, 3 years for them to adjudicate your case. It's whenever they feel like there is no specific time we could give you. Now, that answers the question. Then if you get approved, or when you get approved, I think it's about $1,440 for the adjustment of status. So please do the math and answer that question yourself, but we're giving you the figures.
Yeah. In the meantime, we have our WhatsApp group put on the chat area. You may want to join the group. Mostly people post questions. We are not the only consultants there. We have like 2 other expert consultants who are doing very good in the field. You can post your questions there. Like I said, Dozie has his own website. You can go there, look at all the things he does. I think we have also found a whole lot of EB-2 and NIW stuff for a lot of Nigeria. I thought people think I'm a Nigerian.
You are Nigerian by NIW.
I thought people look at my name and then like, are you a Nigerian? Like, I never knew my name is a very popular name in Nigeria. One client made me laugh. Like, when I heard you are Anini, I got scared. I said, really? So
you can be a Kayinde now, okay?
Yeah. So
or Kayode.
So explore our group, join yourself to the group. At least there are certain short questions you can still put in the group, and we can get people helping you with the answers. These are very difficult times. I will not doubt it, but we still have to hold ourselves together. Immigration is like always a roller coaster. Even UK and other parties are still tightening it. We still see people getting approval from Nigeria and other things. Adjustment of status or consular processing may be a bit slow now and more scrutinized, but I still want to say that don't lose hope. It always gets tough before it gets easy, right? So don't lose hope. Apply, get yourself locked up in a priority date, put in a petition, and see God will smile on you. These things we have listed, don't let it scare you. There are people with weak profiles getting approved, and people with strong profile time getting denied. I thought you can't understand this whole EB-2 thing. There are some profiles that you finish the petition, you're like, this client doesn't have a lot of things, I'm losing confidence. But that client will get approved, and you realize that one you were thinking have a lot of citations and other things will come and it will be giving you headache. So that's why we say officers has discretion, right? So far you have the advanced degree, masters or bachelors, or you can really show most of the things on the list I show you for the prong test too. If you are not having 1 or 2 of them or some of them, don't let it discourage you. Still apply. The little you have, make very good case of it. Don't try to engineer stuff you don't have or things you can't actually prove. Even nowadays, even there's a recommendation letters, they are scrutinizing and calling people on that. So I would advise people to stay away from engineering things you don't have, people and actually using things actually you can get and strengthen your case for that. And we hope to see you all, or probably if you need a one-on-one consultation for proposed endeavor, where we can look at your CV and really advise on that. That is also open. Dosi can do a good job on that. If you approach me, we can do that. And many people, the fact that you come for consultation doesn't mean you should retain us. Some people have come and we have given them, that lady I showed the outline, she went very fulfilled that she can even draft on her own without even needing my help. We also have review service at time when you are done writing your petition and you want to submit, find an expert to go through with it with you. the expert can be able to tell you this part you are slacking, this part is going to cause problem, and therefore you can save yourself some headache and assure that your petition is getting stronger. Because some people come for review, and when we go through it, they realize that, oh no, they were really heading for an ambush, right? So avoid an ambush and at times do a review service, even if you don't want to use a consultant to draft it entirely. Remember, at times you can tell your story the best on your own, at times even more than a consultant, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we could call it a day. We've spent almost 1 hour, 30 minutes talking to you guys. And I think we want to do this thing very often. Maybe we could say next 2 weeks, and we'll come back again, but we have to see what we can do. And we will see you in our next video. Thank you for paying attention to us. Thank you for sticking with us to the end of this webinar. We really appreciate you. Thank you for giving us your ears, and we'll see you in the next one. Please join our WhatsApp group, send it to your friends and families, and we'll try as much as we can to be of service to you guys. We'll see you in our next one. Bye.